Hey everyone, next VR Troopers episode, the beginning of Season 2, Mutant Mutiny. That title got me kind of excited. I was like, oh cool, so there's a mutiny against Grimlord? Kinda, sorta? It's really weird. Both the Dino Thunder and VR Troopers episode that I'm covering this time, neither one have titles that make any sense. This one at least makes a little bit more sense than the Dino Thunder one. I don't know what was going on there. So the troopers are at Tao Dojo when suddenly a guy comes in all excited. His name's Artie and he wants the troopers to be spokespeople for his martial arts studio. And the troopers aren't sure about this. Carl Zichter, meanwhile, has found green slime all over his desk and around his office, and he believes it came from one of his mutants invading reality against his orders. He goes into virtual reality where Toxoid determines the mutant to be Amphibidor, and a bunch of Grimlord's mutants go to find him. Amphibidor is brought before Grimlord, and Grimlord orders him to battle to prove his worthiness, because that's what the Japanese footage shows, so we gotta do it too. Toxoid selects Dream Master. That's cool. Haven't seen Dream Master in a while. Amphibidor uses his ability to become slime to win? Or at least avoid Dream Master's attack, which is good enough for Grimlord, who sends Amphibidor out to attack the troopers, and he doesn't really have too much of a plan. His plan is mainly, like, if they kill Amphibidor, he doesn't care because he thinks Amphibidor is a traitor planning a rebellion against him. Ryan is at Hart's lab when suddenly Hart detects a break in the reality barrier. Ryan calls the others, and they soon come across some of Amphibidor's green slime. Hart warns Ryan that Amphibidor could potentially be more dangerous than Grimlord. Surely this is going to mean it doesn't mean anything. JB and Caitlin fight off some Skugs and continue on. Ryan, meanwhile, encounters Amphibidor and transforms. During the fight, Ryan gets slime in his suit's circuitry, disabling him. Ryan loses control of his suit and falls off a cliff. JB and Caitlin find him unconscious and take him back to the lab. Grimlord orders Amphibidor to bring him Ryan's armor, as well as the other troopers' armor. Meanwhile, at Tao Dojo, Artie meets with Tao and discusses something with him. Back with JB and Caitlin, they go to fight Amphibidor. Ryan sleepwalks or something out of the lab and gets attacked by Amphibidor. Grimlord sends in more monsters to destroy both Ryan and Amphibidor, and then they just kind of disappear. Then Ryan gains control of his armor, destroys Amphibidor, and the other monsters are still missing for some reason. At the dojo, Tao reveals that he's been chosen as Artie's spokesperson, and okay then. This episode's pretty fun. The beginning starts off feeling like it's going to be something really big, but ultimately it just kind of comes off like a normal standard episode. This could have been in Season 1. There's nothing in this really that makes it feel like it's a new season, especially not a season premiere. There's no real reintroduction of the characters or anything. There's no new threat. It's cool to see Dream Master again. He was one of the more unique monsters. Unfortunately, his abilities aren't fully utilized, but one of the things I do really appreciate and respect about VR Troopers is how consistent they are with all these random monsters' names. I can barely remember their names. After over 50 episodes, I only know a few of their names. Let's see. I know Decimator, Icebot, Ivar. There's some bigger ones. I know Toxoid, because he sounds like Starscream. I know Air Striker, the guy that flies around and chases the troopers sometimes. They're in my sights, Grimlord. I know him, and that's about it. But they keep all of these characters straight, and that deserves respect, because I cannot do that. Amphibidor is kind of interesting. Unfortunately, by the end, he's just another mutant. No other mutant visibly takes place in his supposed rebellion against Grimlord. That might have been kind of cool to see him interacting with some other monsters. We even had the perfect scene where he's talking with some other monsters. When Grimlord sends the monsters to find him, imagine if instead of them just saying, oh hey, Grimlord wants to see you, it was him talking to these monsters and saying, you should turn against Grimlord and work with me, and they're like, hey, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. But that's not what they do. So, I don't know where this whole plot about the monster rebelling against Grimlord came from. Is it because Grimlord sends monsters to attack Ryan and they accidentally shoot Amphibidor once or twice? Because it goes by so quickly and then those monsters disappear. I'm not even sure if that was something that was actually in the Japanese version or not. There's a really innocuous subplot here with Tao having to go to his mother's family reunion. It doesn't really mean anything. All I can guess is it's supposed to set up Tao being absent for a few episodes, maybe? That's all I can guess, because it doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't really tie in with the plot with Artie and wanting to find a spokesperson. It doesn't really tie in with any... Even Artie's plot is disconnected from the monster plot. Not a whole lot to analyze here. This is a decent episode. Oh, one other thing I want to mention. I like the scene at the beginning where Artie has the big poster of the VR Troopers, and the images on there are just, like, publicity images of the Troopers. That's a cute little thing. So yeah, that's about all I have to say about this one. It's a meh episode. Not the best first impression for Season 2 of VR Troopers. I don't know, maybe Rise of the Red Python should have been the first episode of Season 2. That would have been, like, a bit stronger of a premiere. Whatever. That's it for this one, because I just do not have anything else to say about it. This was a... Like, I had fun watching it. This is a fun episode, but I just don't have anything to say about it. So that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya. Hey everyone, finished watching the next VR Troopers episode. Trooper Out of Time. This is an actually pretty decent episode. Its biggest flaw, though, is just being 50-plus episodes in. So, summary, it's career day at the newspaper, and they have people from various jobs there talking to kids. Percy fumbles around with a water bottle, and it spills on him. Laugh. One of Carl Zichter's minions show him a time travel device. Zichter orders him to go to the past and presumably kill Ryan Steele before he becomes a trooper. Professor Hart calls the troopers and he informs them that he detected a break in the time barrier. One of Grimlord's Scugs went back in time 10 years. JB and Ryan work on their own time machine while Caitlin takes a detector to find a crystal component that they need to finish the time travel thing. Caitlin tracks the crystal to a cave where she's attacked by Scugs, and after 50-plus episodes, the formula is getting really, really repetitive. Caitlin defeats the Scugs and gets the crystal. With the crystal, they complete the time device. Grimlord sends out a new monster. JB and Caitlin deal with the monster while Ryan goes to the past. The time device burns out after Ryan's trip. He needs to find another crystal to return. JB and Caitlin in the present encounter a new monster, destroy it, and then find a new crystal for Ryan. Ryan, back in the past, sees his younger self avoiding a fight with a bully. Ryan follows his younger self and spots the Scug. He fights them off, and his younger self helps. Ryan's father rushes over to help and thanks future Ryan for helping his son. And present Ryan struggles to hold back tears as he really wants to talk to his father again, but he knows that he can't say anything for, I don't know, possibly he could damage the future. JB and Caitlin use the crystal they found to bring Ryan back to the present. At the newspaper, Percy is frustrated after giving the kids a tour of the building. So this episode is pretty good, but after 50-plus episodes, like I said before, it's... So many episodes hit the same beats over and over again, and there's a few episodes that stand out, really. There's some really, really outstanding episodes in VR Troopers, but most of them are not too far off from this one. It's just another drop in the bucket, basically. The thing that does make this stand out is the time travel. It's quite a novelty to see Ryan alongside his younger self we see in the prologue and epilogue of every episode. I feel like they could have done more with the time travel concept. One of the things I think would have been cool is to have Ryan go back in time and not only meet himself, but meet younger Jeb. Take Jeb along with you and have normal Jeb meet puppy Jeb. There is a puppy Jeb. I don't know, maybe this was shot too much later and the puppy was like, older or just not available. I don't know. Also, it would have been neat to have JB and Caitlin go back in time and maybe meet their younger selves. They do have younger selves in that previous episode. I don't remember the title of, but here's the thumbnail picture I did for it. We see Carl Zichter, like, in the real world, and then we see Grimlord, but we don't see the transition of him going to the virtual reality world. And then, later on, the Scug is in the past talking with Carl Zichter, not Grimlord, over his little communicator device. And so I'm wondering, when we're seeing Grimlord, has he already had his little conversations with the Scug who's in the past as Carl Zichter? I don't know. That's a neat little brain twister thing I thought was kind of fascinating in this episode. Percy's back, and he's as underwhelming as ever. His shtick is just fumbles around with a water bottle, it dumps on his face, he gets annoyed with kids, and Woody gets mad at him. Not a whole lot going on with Percy this time, and it really sucks, because I really like Percy, like, in concept. I think like a goofball, nerdy character like him could be really funny. Kind of like Monty and Ninja Steel, a character most people really don't like. But the thing with Victor and Monty and Ninja Steel, their shtick does work. They are funny actors. The only problem with them is that they're overused. They're in nearly every episode, and they really didn't need to be. With Percy, I think the problem is just they don't really have any good ideas for him. Most of the time, his stuff is so completely separate from everything. I really wish they would utilize him more, like, in the actual plot. Have him get involved. But so often, yeah, he's just some idiot weirdo in his own separate thing going on. Not much to analyze with this episode so late into the series. I'm really looking forward to the switch to Scheider footage. Not because, like, I'm a big fan of the Scheider footage or anything, but just because I think the show was handled a lot better then, and, you know, this far into the series, I keep thinking about the villains and how dull they are, and I really want Doom Master to show up, because I remember Doom Master. He is a really fun villain. It'll be a couple more episodes, I think, before we finally get to the switch from Metalder footage to Scheider footage. Hope you enjoyed this. Bye. Hey everyone, finished watching the next VR Troopers episode, Secret Power. Is okay. It's not a particularly amazing VR Troopers episode. Tao Dojo is hosting a talent show, and one of the kids is nervous about his performance. The troopers try to boost his confidence. Meanwhile, Grimlord is making plans with Icebot and Ivar to break through the reality barrier. Decimator introduces a new monster that isn't really new, the Magician. At the talent show, Percy shows off his singing talent. He's bad, and everyone hates it. Icebot begins his plan to destroy the reality barrier. At the dojo, Jeb hears something that the others can't. Suddenly, the lights flash, and everyone hears a buzzing noise. Ryan and Jeb head to the lab, unaware that they're being tailed by the Magician and his helpers. Ryan gets attacked and takes out the Magician's helpers. Back at the dojo, the power goes out. Caitlin finds out from the radio that the power's out across the city. They try to contact Ryan and Professor Hart, but they can't make contact with either of them. Icebot's plan is beginning to work. The reality barrier is starting to break apart. Ryan, Jeb, JB, and Caitlin make it to the lab, and Professor Hart informs them of what's going on. Icebot is using 2 electromagnets at a power plant in Crossworld City and another one at the North Pole to shatter the reality barrier. The troopers transform and head to Icebot's bases. The troopers fight through the villains and destroy the electromagnets. Then they go back to the dojo, where the talent show is continuing on. The kid from earlier gains his confidence to perform, and then Percy goes up to sing, and Jeb pulls his microphone away. This episode is kind of disappointing. Now, at times, it feels like it's going to be a big final adventure, but it ends up just being another standard plot. The talent show plot is completely pointless. It doesn't connect to anything. It's just a generic plot that could be inserted anywhere. Grimlord's plan looks like it's going to work and lead to something big, but it doesn't. Magician returns, and I'm surprised the writers are so consistent with remembering all the random one-off monsters' names. And that made me start thinking about, like, as a final episode, before the big shakeup happens, this one's pretty weak, and I think the Red Python episodes might have been a better place to put, like, those episodes, or the one where Zelton is destroyed. That could actually work well, since Zelton keeps showing up after he's been destroyed. The Metal Heroes wiki misnames the talent show kid in this episode Timmy for some reason. His name's Travis. I don't know how in the world you got Timmy from Travis. That's way far off. One letter is right in that. So not a lot to say about this one. There's been over 50 episodes of VR Troopers so far, and a lot of them are the exact same freaking thing, including this one. Hopefully next episode I'll have way more to talk about, because that's the start of the switch over to Scheider footage from Metalder footage. And also there's a big shakeup with the villains and the heroes, and a whole bunch of new stuff is going to be revealed, and I'm really looking forward to that, because I'm really hoping this is going to turn out a bit like Power Rangers Turbo, where the first batch of Turbo episodes are pretty bland and dull, and then the switch up happens, and suddenly things get a lot better, and it's kind of fun. So that's it for this one. Hope you enjoyed it. See ya.